All right, we're back again. This is John.
Hey, it's Paul.
It's Eric.
And it's What If Geeks. And this is you guys are lucky. We're doing a second episode this week. Today is the 9th, and we just recorded an episode talking all about the conspiracy of the moon landing, which we don't think it's a conspiracy, but whatever. We'll leave that up to you. You can just listen and see what happens.
Right.
So that'll be dropped tonight or tomorrow, Wednesday, and then this one will be dropped on Friday. To kind of piggyback on this, we had a whole bunch of random conspiracy theories that we were all shooting around and we were laughing about. So we were like, well, let's do a whole episode on it. And then all three of us realized that we all thoroughly enjoy conspiracy theories to the point, like I said earlier, of I'll just sit and watch YouTube and drink beer and watch conspiracy theories like an idiot for hours. So we were like, this is going to be a recurring theme. Probably like once a month we'll find a conspiracy theory or something that we like and we'll just talk about it. But so to start us off,
do we want to do what you're into? Because we didn't do
yeah,
that.
that's what
last
I'm
time.
about to do. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
My bad. Sorry.
To start us off,
Host, take it away.
Eric is going to give us a tangent before we even get started. Jesus, just give him one episode to talk, right? And he just runs rampant.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
Give some people an inch.
That's what she said.
All right, so what are you into? I'll start with the first one. All right, TV. Heather and I just binge watched Stranger Things season 3.
Oh, how is it?
Oh my God, have you seen it?
No, that's all I've done since I was on vacation. Stranger Things is the only thing I've watched since we got together.
Okay,
last,
so you're the only one that you have not watched it.
seen it.
Okay,
I have not seen the final 2 episodes.
Okay, then I can't spoil the entire thing, and we can't spoil anything at all. I can't spoil the end. But, dude, the only thing I can say about this, and I guess you can get it from the trailers, is it's a little bit darker, which is saying something for Stranger Things. Yeah. But it's a little bit darker, a little bit scarier, and wow, I mean, they nail it out of the park. I've had, like, 80s music stuck in my head for 2 days now, just from, like, watching the show. And it's only 8 episodes, which is funny. When we were watching it, my daughter piped in and said, do you know the internet's like blowing up with people complaining that it's only 8 episodes? And we went, I know it's been a while, but, and I went to Netflix because, again, if you research anything, and I clicked on Stranger Things and I looked at season 1 and 2. Season 1, 8 episodes. Season 2, 9 episodes. Season 3, 8 episodes. What the fuck are you complaining about?
Right.
I could see if it was like 16 fucking episodes.
And then you get 8 in the season 3, right?
So I think
go ahead.
it's not entirely their fault, right? Because there was a standard set with TV television series, right? I'm not talking about HBO and Showtime. I'm talking about, ABC and NBC. That these series would be somewhere in the realm of maybe 12 up to maybe 24 episodes, right? Well, that was the sort of standard that was set in the beginning.
The full season back in traditional TV was like 22 or 23 episodes, right?
Right. Yeah. And then the premium channels sort of switched that up and they made things like 12 episodes was kind of the max, right?
Right.
And it was pay content. And then we went to Netflix, Hulu, and these guys started doing 6, 8, 10.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So everybody's got this mindset of how it's supposed to be, and then they see something, even if they've already seen it before, they probably bitched about it last season too, Like, why is this they
forget. Yeah. Well, which I agree with the point of, okay, if it's good, I want more, and this is what I'm used to. I'm used to 20 episodes or whatever. I totally get that, and I agree, because every time I watch something on Netflix and I'm really into it, I'm like, God, I want more of this. But on the one hand, for me, I argue with myself, well, if they make more or whatever, are they going to drag it out too much and then make it boring? Whatever, because you've had that happen. You've had some really, really good shows and then, kind of sucks because whatever. Yeah. But then on the flip side, to argue against these people, like I said, you're specifically complaining about Stranger Things. Yeah. And all 3 fucking seasons have had about the same episodes. Yeah. So why?
But that's why I think binge watching is another problem, though. Like, if you binge watch, if you binge watch something and you're done in a day or two, you're sort of mad about it, and you're like, I have to. Yeah. Whereas if you watched it play out over, even if it was over 8 weeks, or maybe 9 because there was a Super Bowl in the middle or something.
At least
right?
you had
It
8
felt,
weeks to.
Yeah,
yes.
it felt like longer, but it didn't take any longer.
Because that was the point Heather brought up. She was like, "Well, it's been a year and a half since whatever." So she's like, "Of course, they're probably mad about that." But
but 8 great episodes of something, 8 really good episodes is better than 22 that 10 of them are like meh. And then you think about kids shows when we were kids, like they had a flashback episode, or they had this very special episode where Arnold gets touched by the bicycle repairman guy, and like that stuff.
Christmas episode.
Dudley gets diddled.
Right, Dudley gets like that stuff happens, and poor Dudley, and like that's, and so you're like, oh, that one sucked. Where you go through whole down seasons of things, like even when on Sci-Fi when they redid Battlestar Galactica, right? Like that was really good. Mm-hmm. There's a season in there where it wasn't so great, sort of in the middle. So people can complain about anything, even if it's 8 really great episodes.
They will, and to be fair, probably I will complain about things that I shouldn't too.
Sure, I complain about a lot of things, but I also like to argue with the people that are complaining about.
Yeah, me too.
I love doing that. But so without spoiling anything, holy shit, just watch this damn show. And don't shut it off right away. MCU it. Okay. That's all I got to say. Right. Just MCU it, okay?
Each one?
No.
Just the last episode. Yeah.
Because Netflix will kind of give you that,
in fact,
starting in 4 seconds, fucker, get on here.
Yeah, if you do the Netflix thing, it'll guide you because it'll tell you to switch to the next episode for all the first ones and then the last one.
Yeah, and that last one, it doesn't happen. So just wait. All right. Just sit there and let it ride out. So that's epic. That's one of those, again, I was looking forward to it. I was nowhere near disappointed, and then now I'm on board with them. I got to wait another year and a half or whatever.
Yeah,
maybe.
I will say too, the special effects in this show have always been good, but they've really gotten creative. I mean, on a warped mind level, not necessarily the technology they're using or anything, but the shit that they're doing, you're like, oh fuck, who thought that up?
Yeah.
Fuck, that is
and
a
you
sick
have those
dude.
moments where you're like, either wow, that's really, really disturbing and sick, but then there's also you have those moments where you're like, what the hell is going on? And it's fun. It's you're gonna love it.
Yeah. All right.
How about you guys? TV, what's going on?
No, that's it for me. I was in Illinois for a whole week, so I didn't really watch any shows. So it was really just this since we got back.
So I don't have any TV stuff. I have video games.
Oh, so do I. Go ahead.
So we went. I've been taking my son sort of old school in games. He's got a old Nintendo. We have the Atari flashback. We got the Commodore 64 flashback thing. And so I was like, what could we play together that would be fun? That maybe the whole family could play together. I'm like, we got to go get Rock Band. And we need all the instruments.
Oh my God. We're coming to your house.
I was like,
Heather and I used to play that with the older kids.
Yeah. We got to go get all that shit. So I started looking online and I'm like, where can I get the stuff? And should I get it for the Wii or should I get it for our Xbox? And so I called, there's a game store called Hudson's Video Games. There was one in Sanford. I don't know, something happened to it, storm damage or something. So went to the Altamont Mall, got the drums, got a guitar, got the microphone, got the game. Hooked it up. The guitar doesn't work. We got to figure something else out. But
that's the one you save for the end of the set. And you smash it.
But we started playing Rock Band, and my kids are now obsessed with Eye of the Tiger.
Oh,
nice.
And so to the yesterday, Presley she has her Kindle. She's sitting in the office where my wife and I are, and she's on the floor and she's humming to herself, and then she starts singing to herself, and we realize she's going, just a man in his will to survive. And she's 4.5. And I turned to my wife and I'm like, she's singing Eye of the Tiger. That's weird. So that's what.
Random Presley quote too from Friday.
Yeah.
When we were hanging out playing games and everything, she starts singing at the table. And I looked at Paul and I about cried. And he just shook his head. She starts singing Patent Butter Jelly Time. Patent. I was like, Patent, like Patent, right? Like General Patent. Yeah, she's singing Patent Butter Jelly Time, and we're like, it's Peanut, and she's like, yeah, Patent Butter Jelly Time. We're like,
today she asked my wife. She said, she calls it the thing you put your clothes in when you go on vacation. She calls it a soup case.
Suitcase.
And we think it's cute, so we don't change her. We don't correct her. She goes, you know, we're going to go on vacation. We're going to bring our soup cases. We don't really put soup in them, so why do they call them soup cases?
So she figured it out.
Yeah. My wife goes, they're called suitcases. We just think it's cute.
And then she didn't say, we don't put suits in them either.
Yeah.
I don't own
bathing
a suit.
suits.
Yeah. I don't own a suit.
Oh my god.
So yeah,
that's so funny.
That's the thing worked.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you know, as we're getting older, you know, my wife's got the her Heatherisms that I like to call. You know, she starts saying she'll mispronounce something, and I'll go to correct her. She'll be like, "Shut up." Sorry.
So I learned from my wife recently that there is a bar in the Orlando area where you pay a cover charge like $5 and you can play. They've got like 80s and 90s like arcade games
Downtown, right? Joysticks.
No coins. You just play as much as you want after you pay the cover.
Place.
Downtown, right?
It is downtown
Joysticks.
somewhere. Yeah. I don't know if that was the name. Maybe.
Well, I guess
Yeah,
we're
could
all
be.
going.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounded like something fun to do. Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys later. We're going to joystick. I'm calling it a
Three guys are not going to a bar called Joysticks together.
Who's driving?
That's not a thing that's happening.
Yes, the hell it is. You watch. All right, so on the video game side, since you brought it up, if you recall, Noah's Uncle Corey bought him the Xbox One for Christmas, and he plays like, you know, Minecraft and whatever. And he and I have gotten into Minecraft Realms thanks to Eric, and you know, Eric, we gave each other access to our realms.
I saw Master Builder's World here. Yeah.
Yes, I showed it off Friday. Where I built a
Which
square
one, my
house.
realm or yours?
No, mine.
Oh, okay.
Where I built my square house, and then I showed Paul and Tony. I said, "Look, now you just go over this hill, and oh look, Eric's got a fucking stone path that goes for about a quarter mile to his damn castle."
Right. With several wings and spires and walkway connectors. And,
and it got more because I was like, "Oh look, that's new. He's got a whole walkway to another tower." And, motherfucker, I've literally got oh, by the way, I raided one of your
John's living in like Fred Flintstone's house.
Yeah, I am. I'm literally like, I just kicked Dino out the fucking window. I raided one of your chests, and I stole a bunch of your stone blocks.
Oh yeah,
so I
had one
upgrade.
full of the
I know.
stones.
I went and stole half of them.
I'm not sure if you noticed, but I built a machine that automatically cooks all that stuff.
That's my thing. Remember I told you that I said because I was walking them around your castle. I'm like, he's got this shit where like he's got hoppers that will just like dump stuff, and I'm like doing it myself, like click click, and this son of a bitch is like, no, this does it automatically. I'm like, well,
I got doozers down here that just make stuff while I
and
sleep.
Yeah. This dude's enslaving Minecraft people. I'm building my own farm. Like, no degree. Ta-da! So yeah, this is also I'm like 8 or 9 years behind on getting on the Minecraft phase. But while we were in the whole Xbox thing, it kept pushing for us to log on to the Game Pass, right?
Uh-huh.
We've got the Xbox Gold, right?
Yeah.
So he and I can go online and play and whatever. Well, the Game Pass, it was like, you know, first month for $1, and the rest of the months it's like $14 or whatever. But the Game Pass, what it does is it incorporates your gold in there, so it's really only about another $4 or $5. Oh, here he is.
No,
you ready to go to bed? Noah's been going to camp. Tell everybody what you've been doing.
Making movies.
Yeah, he's going to the Florida Film Academy for camp. He's making movies.
Cool.
Nice.
So yeah, cool. So I can't wait to see the finished product. And we were just talking about video games, so I was telling him how we got the Xbox, the Game Pass. And what game did you and Daddy play?
Halo.
Oh,
Yeah,
Halo.
we've been playing
Like
Halo.
the original Halo?
All of them. I've got all
yeah,
of
all
them.
of them?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I just downloaded all of them. It was like 40 megabytes or whatever. It was easy. So, all right. So you going to bed?
Yeah.
All right. I love you.
Good night.
There you go.
Night.
Good night.
Good night, buddy.
Love you. I didn't do it in order. Sorry.
Yeah. So I remember, this is probably 15 years ago, maybe a little more. We used to do, I don't know if you guys did this when you were younger, but we would get together and everybody would bring like a game system to the same house, but we'd be in different rooms.
Yeah.
Because like for Halo, you could play 4 people on one system,
right?
But then if you want to play more than that, you could hook the systems together to do like 8-player games or whatever. So we do that. We'd have different people in different rooms, and everybody would be cheating and screen watching, and it was really a disaster, but it was really fun too.
We did that, and then back when we were living in North Carolina, when Corey was living with us, before Noah was born, he was renting out our spare bedroom, right? That's how he became Uncle Corey. He was my best friend, and he just lived with us for like years. So he had this big screen TV in the room, and he had his Xbox 360, and I had mine, and he would sit up there, and I would sit in the living room at night, and we would get on like Call of Duty or Gears of War or whatever, or Halo, and we'd play with all our friends, you know. So he'd be like up there, and then whenever it came to like the duo missions or whatever, if we wanted to like run through some of the campaigns together, he'd sit up there, so he'd have a full screen TV, and I'd sit in the living room, you know, and we'd play like that. So then here, this comes, I looked at the Game Pass, and I was like, well, you know, it's like $5 more a month. Let me see what the hell it's all about, right? At least the first month is $1, so I'll give it a shot, right? Well, you go on, and there's an ass ton of games on there that you just now have access to. So if you don't have them in your library, you just got them there. And the Halo, the Master Chief Collection, 1 through 4 or whatever, was all on there. All of the Gears of War are on there. I've downloaded all of them to the computer, to the Xbox. When we started with like the first Halo, we started playing around with it a little bit. But what they've done is they also upgraded, so you have like, instead of just having the game and then like your online multiplayer, you have your co-op missions. They made like new special missions that I don't remember being there before, like called Spartan Ops. And it's like, okay, it's a lot of the blow up a bunch of these different landmarks so that the shuttle can come in and save you, kind of that kind of thing, you know, or survive this long or whatever. So, because I wanted to get him into something other than just Fortnite and Minecraft, something we could do together. I think, oh, Halo's not bloody, it's, you know, aliens, so we'll do that, right? And this is what I've talked about before. I thought maybe Halo might be a good jumping on point with him. And we started doing the Spartan Ops, and we ran through like 3 or 4 of them. He loves them. Yeah. He's just sitting next to me yelling, I got aliens over here, over here. And he's like running down the hill, and I'm like, son of a bitch, wait for me. You know, he's just like chasing aliens all over the place. It's hilarious. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we've been doing that, and eventually I'll get him into like Gears of War and whatever, you know, because that's a lot of fun too. Like I remember the Horde missions on Gears of War, where 5 of us would just sit there drinking and trying to see how long we survive. Yeah, so that's the video game shit we're into right now, and still the Nintendo on Nintendo Switch, the old school stuff. Right, they upgraded that, and me and my buddy Brian were playing Super Dodgeball and laughing our asses off like idiots, because that's always fun. Just pegging each other with a dodgeball for 5 minutes.
Yeah, on the game thing, on the recommendation from my cousin in Illinois, I started playing this game called No Man's Sky. It's like a space-based. Everything about the game is really slow and laid back, right? But what's really cool about it is the entire universe, which is hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of planets. It's completely procedurally generated. Right, the whole thing. You get put in a random planet to start, and it has random resources, and everything is random, right? Everything is just, I mean, effectively, it's the roll of a dice kind of thing, but it is that way for everybody, and there's multiplayer, and it's available on Xbox and available on PC, and you just kind of like scout around, and the whole point of the game is to eventually get to the center of the galaxy and finding out like what started everything, what's going on. You don't really know what the point is, I guess. But you can do it at your own pace, and you can go to whatever planets you want, and there's like unique flora and fauna and all this. It's really cool. It's like I said, it's slow. Yeah. It's kind of like do things at your own pace. It's very open world. You don't have to follow any guidelines. You can stay on the same planet for days if you want and build a base there and find what you can find, and you can run around and try to find every plant and animal that exists on the whole planet, and you get sort of like little points, badges, whatever, for like finding all the stuff if you can. But then that planet is all made up. You may be the only one to ever set foot on it out of thousands of players. Maybe nobody else ever ends up there. Wow. It's really kind of a cool concept because people didn't invent all this content. A computer randomized invented all this content. Yeah. And then
What's
you
it
get
called
to
again?
go to No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky.
And it's on the Xbox?
It's available on Xbox and PC. I don't know if it's available on anything else, but just those two for sure. It's really cool. Like I said, it's slow. You kind of do what you want, but it's also really cool. It's really cool that there's all these different kinds of trees and there's these random animals. Some look like dinosaurs. Some look like fucking alien movie shit. It's just like a computer made it all up.
Right.
It's a completely random shit. It's just really cool idea.
That's
nice.
Cool.
That was really neat.
That's very cool.
All right. So how about reading? Anybody got anything for reading?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he sounded thrilled, didn't he? What are you into? All right, come on, Eeyore.
Games, movies,
reading some stuff.
Words.
I started reading The Boys, which is coming out as an Amazon Prime show.
Yes,
it's a comic.
I wanted to read that,
and I'd never seen it, and it's a couple years old now.
I'd seen it.
I had never heard of it.
Comic magazines for years, but I never checked it out.
I didn't know anything about it until I saw that it was becoming an Amazon Prime show, and I'm like, oh, it's a comic book. I should check that out. It's amazing. So the idea is it was published by Wildstorm, which is a DC, owned by DC. And so Garth Ennis and the other guy's name is going to escape me from there. Anyway, wrote it, and they actually pitched it to DC, and they're like, here's what we want to do in this world where there are tons of superheroes, and they kind of what happens if they start to lose their humanity. This group is going to sort of write this superhero world, and they're like, no, you can't do that. And so they put it there, and they came up with this what is their sort of amalgam of the Justice League / the Avengers. They're called the Seven. And then there's this group when those guys start to, they don't care sort of what damage they cause or who they hurt in what they're doing. Then this group sort of takes care of them. And what happens when you read it, it's full of curse words. It's got some graphic content. And so there's this one scene where this guy's with his girlfriend, and like they just go through sort of, oh, I love you. And then along comes this is like this world's Flash. And he threw this bad guy through him, but killed the girl and leaves the guy standing there with her arms in his hand. And then you get to, this is the woman that kind of runs, right, their CIA. And this is Butcher, who's the head of the group called the Boys, that is the sort of cracks superhero skulls. And then not long after meeting her for a meeting, he ends up on her, he's got her on the desk, dress over her head.
Oh, goodness.
And then,
there you go.
So later on, you start to meet the Seven, and it's Homelander is the Superman, A-Train is the Flash, Black Noir is the Batman. And so there's this new girl, and she joins, she's kind of like a Starfire almost, and she's Annie January, and she's like, oh, it's so great to meet you, Homelander, and you've been my idol, and blah, 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 and so great. He's like, oh, where are you from, and blah, 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 and this is great, and you're going to be great in the team here, and welcome aboard, and now there's one thing you got to do.
And he drops Trout.
He's nice. Like, you need to take care of this. And she's like, wait, what? And then the other two show up. She's like, oh, that's gross. Get out of here. And then she's like, oh, good. You two guys are here. Uh-oh. And so it's certainly not a kid's comic. I'll be interested to see how they handle some of this when they do it as an Amazon Prime show. But it's an interesting take on kind of the superhero world of a little bit what happens in Batman versus Superman, right? Like, what happens when heroes don't all agree? They're not on the same side. What if a Superman kind of loses it and doesn't care about the damage he causes? And then this group is the Boys are CIA backed, and if superheroes sort of step over the line, then they either step in. Yeah.
So it's good though.
Yeah,
I gotta check it out. All right, cool. I gotta check that out. All right, we gotta pause this for 1 second. Yeah, all right, hey, there we go. We're actually recording on all three there. All right, so that solves that problem.
Wait, you continued and it worked?
Yeah,
Ooh,
because I
amazing.
hit stop before. But the other time I was hitting pause.
Oh, okay, I see.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go. Huh? See, I deduced it. All right. So, all right, I'll edit some of this bullshit out. Not really. I'm kidding. Paul just got done talking about the boys. Sorry, we had to go investigate a funny smell in my house, but that was that. So Paul just got done talking about the boys and going on the subject of what we're reading. Eric, you got anything?
No, I'm not reading.
No.
I was writing.
He was writing about the moon landing.
That's right.
Writing about
Researching.
the moon.
Yeah. All right. Well, what I was reading, and apparently two things that I'm not going to be reading anymore are The Walking Dead and Mad Magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Mad Magazine is shutting shop after 67 years. It said, right? Which really sucks because now I want to go back and find some of the old issues and check them out.
Yeah, I used to love that as a kid.
Yeah. It was. I get it, especially in today's sensitive society.
Oh, I don't think it's that.
You don't think it's that at all?
I think it's publishing.
Yeah. You can look at the
Well,
just
yeah, I
general. I think there's a contingent of us that can appreciate that sort of paper in your hand, smell and touch and feel kind of thing, right? But
Like Stan Lee
honestly,
said, comic books like boobs are nice to look at. Is
honestly,
something different
it's
than-
impressive it lasted this long because there's no reason to wait for anything anymore. You wait days for something to be published, and then you have it, and it's like, what are you going to do with it when you're done? You're going to put it in your bathroom rack or something.
Okay, yeah, but now is there a...
And look at the bigger thing is the prices, right? The prices of, do you remember when we bought comic books, and I guess that's still true today, but they'd be at our time, $2 a piece or whatever, and then today I think they're probably $5-6 a comic or something, right?
They're a
But
lot.
magazines don't seem to be able to get away with that, right? They're talking about $12 for a year subscription
Right.
and shit.
And they can't get it.
Yeah. And they're having a really hard time with it. So I'm surprised those kinds of things survive as long as they have.
Yeah.
Okay, now, do you think that's the only thing? Do you think there's any truth to the... I mean, think of Mad Magazine's brand of humor in today's society. I don't know that it really fits
Well,
anymore.
it may be, but I mean, to make that
I
argument...
don't agree with that.
To make that argument, you have to look in a really narrow tunnel because there's a lot of magazines that have failed over the past, 10 years, really.
Yeah, sure.
And they have nothing to do with humor.
Well, true.
There've been a lot of them. So maybe you're right.
Yeah, you have to do satire now as it can't be about the person, it has to be about the situation, right? So you can do like...
Well, even that can be off limits if it's the wrong
Yeah,
subject.
it's got to be a specific situation.
Yeah,
We've
it's
seen
harder
that a
to do
lot.
satire now.
Yeah.
But The Onion's still doing it well. There's a couple other publications that do it well.
Yeah.
Well,
I just think that the way Mad, and again, I grew up on this shit and I loved it.
Yeah.
I just think their brand of humor just doesn't fit. And I don't agree with it at all. I think there's a spot for it.
They were
It's
doing
just-
like there would be a thing about like they would do a Star Wars sort of send up or a Star
Sure.
Trek or something and do that.
Yeah, all the mainstream,
Yeah.
whatever was mainstream that month, they were hitting
Yeah,
it.
right. Yeah.
Well, I would say is look at any of the late night comedy shows, Saturday Night Live kind of stuff. You can still fuck with people. You can still say raunchy things.
If it's
to
Saturday
an
Night
extent.
Live, you can fuck with people as long as it's Trump.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. It depends on who it is. Like you can totally make fun of Trump all day. All the
Well,
comedians can.
I guess what I was getting at is I think the medium matters more than the content at this point. I think if
I would
something
agree.
is digital, if it's live,
I would
then
agree.
fine.
Maybe 75%, but I maybe even more than that. Maybe I would agree 80, somewhere between 80 and 90, that it's medium. Because even me, I don't like to go out and buy physical media, even though it's one of my passions. I just don't like to go out and spend my money on it because I got other shit to do.
Yeah.
Listen, nobody
And it's
stopped.
easier.
Nobody stopped watching George Carlin comedies. They're still watched today.
Okay, all right.
He's fucking inappropriate as all get out. But it's a medium.
Bite your tongue, sir. You shut your whore
Well,
mouth.
no, I meant it in a positive way, like as inappropriate as
like
the
we
three
agree
of
with
us
that.
are
Yeah,
on
yeah.
any topic we talk about.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's a medium factor to this. I promise you
Yeah.
that really makes a difference. And the print
all right.
thing is.
I agree with you. I agree.
It's
I
dying.
heard somebody talking about how it doesn't fit in society anymore, and I was like, to me, it was more me just complaining about society because
Yeah.
don't see a problem with it at all. So I was really just venting about it. But I would agree. I think it's the medium because, come to think of it, I read a lot more shit online than I do physically anyway. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Well, anyway, unfortunately, Mad Magazine gone at 67 years, I think. And well, I mean, Alfred E. Newman, what me worry? Well,
yeah.
You're probably worried now, fucker.
I think I read that they stopped regular publishing, but they may do like special issues or
and that would be cool
or something.
That would be cool.
Well, and that's probably money worthy.
Yeah.
If you've got people that have sort of that built up suspense of I haven't touched this shit in months and I want to see one, and you put out like a 250-page, magazine,
how they get hookers.
People are going to be like, oh fuck, I'll pay $10 for that. That might work.
And the other one I mentioned was The Walking Dead. Did you guys know this?
No,
last week.
Wow.
They dropped issue 193, right, on Wednesday. Wednesday is New Comic Day. And on Tuesday before that, Robert Kirkman dropped a statement saying this is the final issue of Walking Dead. No time for the comic book stores to prepare.
Right.
No time for nothing. And then within the book, he's got like a 6-page letter about how he had thought he was going to end it a while back, and then kind of like Negan and the Saviors came along in his head, and kind of that lasted longer than he thought it was. So there was this whole thing where he was going to end it at a certain point around Alexandria, and then he didn't because of whatever reason happened then. And then it got in his head, him and whoever the guy is that's writing with him, and I apologize, he's the only one I know his name. They were talking about it, and they were like, oh, well, it'd be really cool to get to issue 300. That's what everybody goes for. And so they started kind of shooting that way. And then he said he got, like, partway through some of the Commonwealth and this and that, whatever, and he was like, I don't have enough story to get anywhere near 300.
Right.
So we need to wrap this thing up. And they did. Like, they wrapped it up.
I was going to ask if they wrapped it up. Yeah.
Charlie Adler, I think, is the
other guy that's
writer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sounds about right. Don't quote me on that, but at least you've got a device in front of your face. I'm going by memory, and woof, that's not good. They do wrap it up, and like the last few issues, it takes a turn where you're like, oh shit, okay, and then it kind of wraps up. They give a whole exposition on whatever, and without ruining anything, so I'm not going to spoil anything because it literally just stopped. So for anybody reading The Walking Dead, I'm not going to ruin it. But it does, like, the last few issues kind of take a turn that you don't really expect. It kind of comes abruptly, and then even right after that shift, then you're trying to wrap your head around the fact that this whole thing just shifted this way, and what the hell is going to happen, and then bloop, we're done. What the fuck? But it ends it like that last issue, like, even then, you don't really see it coming until the very end when you open up and it says "the end" at the very end, and you're like, "Wow, you're just done."
Right.
And then you read the whole 6-page letter from Robert Kirkman, and hey, dude wrote the comic book on his terms, and he went out on his own terms. So I don't take anything away from him. I don't. Even he said it. There's a gnawing in his stomach that it's over. There's relief, but there's a gnawing in his stomach too that is over, and he's like, so yeah, and I get that. Yeah, anything you create, you're like, oh shit, should I keep going? Whatever. So I'm gonna miss it. That was one of the few comics that I bought physically in the last few years, and I would buy like the little 6-issue compilations. I told you about that. I've said it on this show. I had gotten away from reading comics like as a physical media for a while, and then I went to find something to read after a deployment, and I found that, and I grabbed like 5 or 6 of the little 6-issue ones, and well, once you do that, you're reading like 30 fucking issues. You're hooked, So, and it's a really good book. So I would say, even though it's ended, anybody that wants to go read it, you got to go check it out. It's really good. Yeah. So we'll see what they do with the show now. Because now the show can just do whatever the hell it wants.
and he still gets paid, I'm assuming.
Of course. Of course.
There may be other motivators.
Well, because you've got the Walking Dead TV show.
Yeah.
That's going to keep on going, right?
Yep.
You've got Fear the Walking Dead,
Yeah.
which is going to keep on going. You have another show they're getting ready to start, which is about some kids that like legit like were born and grown up in what's going on now. So it's kind of about like it's about like what is it like to be a person who grew up knowing nothing of the other world, that kind of thing. So it's about that, I guess. So we'll see how that's going to be. But then they're planning 3 movie style shows revolving around Rick Grimes.
Oh, wow.
So, and for those who have been watching the show and are not caught up on anything, I'm not going to spoil any of that shit either. But some shit happens, and there's a movie thing that's getting ready to happen with AMC and all this shit. So, again, I like the show. I understand people's criticisms for when it goes up and down, but it is what it is. So we'll see. We'll see what they do with it. But yeah, like you said, he's still getting paid.
Yeah.
And I know you're looking too. We've been talking for almost 40 fucking minutes on this bullshit. So,
I'm actually looking at the levels.
Making sure we're actually recording.
I'm worried that they're a little bit low. But okay, we got a spike there. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I'll take it.
There we go.
There's Paul's.
Right.
Whatever the hell that was. I couldn't do it again. All right, so then the last thing I got to talk about is movies. One, out of nowhere, Noah decides, because he saw the preview to Hobbs and Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a sneeze. I was about to blush. I blessed his yawn. Noah saw the Hobbs and Shaw trailer. So Heather said, I don't know, maybe we should watch the Fast and Furious to kind of at least... And he goes, I want to watch it. So I get a text. Was the Fast and Furious appropriate for him? I'm like, it's PG-13, but he's watched worse. I mean, so I don't think... I thought of the first one real quick. I'm like, nah, like the worst thing there is like, Dom and Letty getting on in the garage. She don't even get naked. They just kiss. They make out. I'm like, whatever. He's seen worse. Go ahead. Yeah, it should be fine. He's watching the Fast and Furious series, the whole thing. He watched the first one, and he promptly went out to Target and Walmart with his allowance, and he bought the Fast and Furious, what do you call it? The logo, the actual, the property, right?
Right.
Whatever,
Okay.
the license, there you go. I lost license. The Fast and Furious licensed vehicles of Dom's Charger and Brian's Supra and this, that.
Right.
And I come home from work and he's like, look, Dad, I got Brian's Supra. And he's like calling to my name. And I'm like, yeah, well, okay. All right, here we go. He's got a gearhead or whatever. So he wanted to wait to watch Too Fast, Too Furious for when I got home. Holy shit, I forgot how bad the acting is in this movie. I actually leaned over to Heather, who had not seen a Fast and Furious movie before this. She was like, we liked the first one. I'm like, yeah, no, the first one was really good. You see where they made a series about it. The second one, oof, no, not at all. I said the acting, while still kind of like, the whole premise of the thing sucks. They just kind of like embrace this otherworldly superhero-esque kind of thing where it's just like unbelievable shit happens and you just kind of shove popcorn in your face and just, okay, go for a ride.
Shut off brain.
Shut off your brain because nothing makes sense. So we got to, like, through the second one. He's like, I forget if he watched any other ones yet, but yeah. Eric shaking his head at me like, no.
No. I watched the first one. It was okay, I guess.
I liked it, but then again, I got to think for Michelle Rodriguez.
For a kind of summer, popcorn movie, action movie. Don't think about it too hard.
Right.
Just kind of watch the car driving.
And I can remember watching it in the theater and coming out and all the fucking idiots in Virginia, wherever the fuck we were, like revving their engines in the friggin' parking lot. I was like,
this is the problem I have with it, is that there's not actually like a plot or anything there. This is a movie that revolves around driving stunts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, even the General Lee had some story around it. I mean, come on.
Right.
Yeah, they were moonshining. Whatever. Yeah, I get it.
I mean, there's nothing here. It's bullshit.
I get it.
And they brought in cute faces and famous names over and over and over.
And then it became a superhero epic.
And then it's about The Rock.
The Rock is literally kicking a torpedo on an ice bed. It's great. It's just stupid.
It was mediocre at the first movie. It was questionable at the second. It was disgusting by the third. Like, why are you people still watching this? And what are we at now? 7?
Seven.
Are the
Or
7
8. Hobbs and
movies?
Shaw is 8.
8. Jesus
No,
Christ.
it's 9.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not even like they're
And Hobbs and Shaw isn't technically the Fast and Furious anymore. It's just a spinoff.
and it's not even like they're embracing the fact that they're bad.
'Cause there will be a
like
9.
like a Sharknado or something. They're not even embracing the fact that it's bad. They're acting like they've got a good thing going and they're going to keep it going.
Which is exactly why I love it. Because it's like, you're all in on the joke, but they're not. And I love it. I'm like, I just love it.
Sorry.
So,
man.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's... Oh, him.
No, I kicked his feet.
We bumped feet.
We were feet
That's okay.
under the
He's
table.
bumped me 3 or 4 times last episode. He didn't apologize to me.
Oh,
Apparently he
I'm
likes my
sorry.
Tootsies.
I'm sorry, John. Very sorry.
So, yeah, so there was Fast and Furious, and I don't fucking know. But he wanted to watch it. I'm like, you know what? Sure, let's watch it again. And... yeah, they're as bad as I remember, but they're also as funny as I remember too. I laugh at them. But the big movie that I was all ready to talk about, that most of the time, whenever the three of us get together and was like, okay, we're gonna do a review of a movie or whatever, we're all on the same page. And this time, because everybody was traveling and running around, I ran out on opening night and I saw Spider-Man: Far From Home, and this is the one time in the months that we've been doing this podcast that I am so pissed that we cannot do a fucking movie review.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I was tempted to go see it
You
Monday
both
night.
suck. That's all I'm going to say.
I saw that it broke weekend box office records. It had 93.6 million in the opening weekend.
Dude, as of right now, it has 588 million worldwide.
Ooh,
Wow.
195 domestic.
it's
And
gonna,
it's-
it might beat the in game at some
Right?
point.
So, non-spoiler, all I can say is go see this fucking movie so that next week we can review it. Dude, it's really good. And this is me
Did you
calm
see
down.
it with the whole family?
Yeah.
It's appropriate for Noah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The effects in this movie are amazing, which, I mean, it's Marvel, but whatever. It's just like next level. Like, you're like, holy shit, they pulled that off.
I need to know if I can take Coleman.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's really, really, really good. I came down off of my high. Watching it, I'm like, oh, okay, I see where I may have had an issue here or there. But even regardless, even with whatever issue that we'll get into when we review it, to me, this is probably the best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen.
Wow.
And then, although you guys are vets and you know to stick around, there are 2 stingers on this one that you have to wait around for. And while we have some that have been meh at best, both of them are fucking nuts.
Really?
Nuts. Wait until you see it. Just wait.
All right.
That's all I'm going to say. That's it. So, Spider-Man, yeah, go see it. Fuckers. All right. You're both fired as geeks. Jesus Christ. All right. So, that being said, I think it's a
Haven't seen it on
conspiracy.
opening weekend.
Yeah.
God. Spider-Man.
You're fucking
Still haven't seen
fired.
Toy Story 4.
Hey, can I tell you a secret? My whole family went and saw Toy Story 4, and I opted out.
I don't blame you. I kind of knew you were going to. All right, so let's get into some conspiracy theories because it's that time. Oh, shit. All right, so somebody start me off. What's somebody's favorite conspiracy theory?
All right, so
Or not so favorite?
I'm going to go in early with this one because we're late in the episode already. before
Holy
we
shit,
got
we're like
started.
almost 45 minutes into this.
Yeah.
Is amazing.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah, I don't know. You don't have to speed up the first half or something so we
No, you're
talk
good.
like chipmunks.
It'll be all right.
Do you remember when you... Never mind.
It's been a good conversation, though. People will stick around.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump right into this one because it was funny to me. The Disney's hidden sexual messages, right?
I love this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna name a few here. I know you have some other ones, John, but I watched all of these videos today, by the way, with my adult daughter to review everything to make sure that I was on point. But anyway,
That's not weird at all.
yeah. Well, I made her kind of do it because I had already spent all the time on
It's
the
getting
moon
weirder.
landing. I spent all the time on the moon landing shit, and then
Honey, come here. Make sure I'm not wrong about these
I
sexual
had,
innuendos
I had to
in
make
Disney.
dinner tonight before I came over here. So then I was like, hey, why don't you look up some conspiracy theories for me? And I sort of gave her some ideas, and then
Marissa, I'm sorry.
So anyway, first one is Little Mermaid. So there's a scene where Ursula and Eric are getting married, and there's this little short bishop guy standing on a thing there, and he's saying something, I don't remember what, and it looks like he's popping a wood.
Yeah.
It's like sticking out. So the official explanation from the artist is that was his knee. But it is really awkward. I mean, you have to watch it. You have to look it up and see for yourself. But I'm not sure how that could be his knee. He's not like a skinny guy. It doesn't really.
Yeah, no, especially coming from artist on a movie who put a hamburger and a penis into the castle.
Yeah. So it's probably good to jump ahead to some other ones because in the Rescuers movie, which wasn't a super popular one, there is a scene where there's a naked woman running across the screen in the background, and
It's a poster. She's not running. They're falling as a poster.
As a poster. Okay.
Yep.
In any case, it was put there intentionally.
Oh yeah.
And then because artists have fun with this. I mean, that's kind of what I got out of watching different interviews and listening to this today, was that they do that on purpose, or they used to do that on purpose.
Yeah, because
all these are going to be older.
It was way back
references,
before we had the technology to really
freeze
slow it
frame
down.
it, right.
When you freeze frame that,
Correct.
you can see the animated mice, and it's a very real photo of a woman naked in the background.
So there was sort of like inside jokes and things that they stuck in these, and nobody ever saw them because it was a cell on an animation and whatever.
Yeah.
So they did it on purpose. So, but in the Rescuers, it was intentional. It was done by some artist, and then I don't remember what the story was, but they did a remake basically of the film, and they didn't realize that the original cuts had this naked woman in it, and they put them in the remake. Right, and they were there in the original, which many people, almost nobody had seen at that point. But then when they did the remake, it must have been early 2000s or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's what they call it. Yep.
And then they accidentally remade that thing, knowing. I mean, people knew it was there, but not the right people to stop it. So it ended up in the movie, and it's since been pulled out again. But that was one of those intentional things, right? And so there was another one in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which I actually had to go verify was a Disney movie because I did not realize it was made by Disney Studios, but it was.
Yeah.
So there is a scene.
There was years there that Roger Rabbit showed up at the parks for a while.
So I didn't
He's
realize
gone
that.
now.
When we were talking about this today, I'm like, that's not even a Disney movie. Get the fuck out of here. But no, apparently it is.
Yeah.
And it has been. But there's a scene towards the end of the movie where they're running from the guy, whatever the fuck his name is, the judge, that dips
Judge
people in ink. And the car hits a light pole, and everybody that's inside flies out. And what's her name? Jessica Rabbit pops out, and she's not wearing any underwear, and her dress slips to the side. And so it was like touted as a wardrobe malfunction or whatever, like jokingly, right? But they talked to the artist who did this, and they said basically, well, this was just sort of an inside joke. It was a couple cells, and nobody knew, you know. And it was later in the later editions of the movie, it was taken out. But you know, people caught on to the earlier ones. I guess had it in there or whatever. I know it was an intentional thing. So
yeah, that was one of the first ones I remember.
Yeah, so that was a couple intentional examples, just to give now the unintentional ones, which we could talk about, right? Which was like there's a part in Aladdin where Raj is trying to intimidate Aladdin or whatever, and if you listen to the scene, it sounds like he says,
"Take off your clothes."
Yeah, he says, "Teenagers, take off your clothes."
Yeah, there you go.
But officially, he's saying, "Good tiger, take off, scat, go." I mean, that's
sure, yeah. That was
so. It's like one of those things where, like, I think somebody put a joke in here, and they don't want to fess up to it after the fact. The Lion King, which is one of probably the most well-known ones because Disney sort of admitted to it in a sense, where he kicks up the dust and it flows in the air and it makes the word sex.
Yeah.
But the official story was, no, that says SFX for special effects, and it was a nod to the special effects department. But I watched that again today. That is clearly an E.
That's an E.
Or it's an F with a line at the fucking bottom. However you
Which
want
is
to
an
call
E,
it.
right?
Which would be an E.
An F with the line at the bottom is an E.
But either way, I mean, it's like, come on, you're just making up a poor story now. And you had some other ones. There was the Dick in the Castle and
The Dick in the Castle. Yeah, now that was specifically
In the
I
Little
know
Mermaid- in
that
the Little
one
Mermaid,
in the
yeah.
Little Mermaid. The artwork on the cover of the DVD, back then it was a VHS tape. had a cheeseburger and a penis hidden in the spires and the body of the castle. And I know this for a fact because my little sister had a copy of it, and the rumor came out way back then. And so, of course, we all ran and grabbed her copy of this damn movie. And it was absolutely there. So, yeah.
This reminds me of I don't know if you guys remember this, if you were smokers when you were younger or something, but Camel cigarettes. On the back leg of the camel, if you look in the
a naked woman
pattern, it was a naked man with his dick sticking out.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
They've always said that about Joe Camel's nose is supposed to be a penis.
Oh, that too. But this is a more blatant, like if you look at the back leg of the camel, it has this little pattern on it, and if you really look at it, it looks like a dude standing up with his dick sticking out, and he's just standing there like a superhero pose or something.
Right.
It's really bizarre, and I'm not sure if that was ever explained, but it just reminded me of it.
No, I think they just ignored it.
Yeah.
Then they got rid of Joe Camel altogether because they were like,
I think that was a push that they were trying to advertise towards kids or something with the cartoony Joe Camel.
Yeah, of course they were.
So I think that's where that died. Here, for what it's worth, I know our viewers can't see this, but it's on the front leg of that's color changed just so you can see it. But there's a guy
that's funny.
standing in a superhero pose with his wee hanging out.
Wee. All right. So one of the ones I read earlier that actually I went to Google Maps to check this out. Mattress stores, probably specifically like a mattress firm, right? But mattress stores. They said, have you ever noticed quite how many there are in any given area? And then they specifically went into the mattress firm thing, where there were like 3 or 4 within like a mile of each other, right? And the theory is that they're not really mattress stores, or pretty much all mattress stores are fronts for the mafia or for whoever for money laundering, because there are so many of them. But how often do you really buy a mattress?
Right.
And that was the thing. And then this video I watched, this guy, what's his name, Shane, the one we were watching before, right? He so there you go. Shout out to Shane on YouTube. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's good or bad. I really only started watching this dude today.
The guy has interesting delivery. I'll just say.
Yeah, I watched a couple of his videos on conspiracy theories, and it used to make me laugh. He's entertaining. So he was talking about this, and then he was doing some clips from other people.
Shane Dawson is his name.
Okay, there you go. Shane
and
Dawson.
His Instagram is lol Shane Dawson, or his Twitter is lol Shane Dawson.
Okay,
that's why
I just looked up conspiracy theories on YouTube, and it's Shane. So, the one dude that was on his channel, or that he cut video from, was driving down the street and was like, "Damn, I need a mattress," and he turned his phone to the right. All right, cool. There's a mattress firm, and he drove like literally 15 seconds down the street and turned his phone to the left, and there was another mattress firm. And he was like, "Oh, look, there's another one. Cool." He's like, "But man, I really, really need a mattress." And he went to the right again, and there was another one. Like it was just like going down the street. There were like 3 or 4 of them, and then they did it like he did it on his YouTube. Like he opened up his phone on YouTube and showed it to the camera and Googled mattress firm, and they were like 3 or like right. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
I did it, and there's like about 4 or 5 just like within this general area. I was like, holy shit. Like, that's kind of
a lot of mattresses.
Yeah, it's an awful lot of mattresses. And then to the point of they never ever seem busy, and how often do you really buy a mattress? So yeah, so that one made me laugh. It might be some truth to that one. Please don't kill us.
This one is interesting, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, okay, so this is Paul McCartney actually died in 1966.
I remember that one.
And
not 1966.
Yeah, you're not that old. That he secretly died in 1966, and the Beatles went out and found somebody that looks like him, sounds like him, has the same attitude, plays, guitar upside down, left-handed, like does all the stuff that Paul McCartney did, sounds just like him, but that's not actually Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And there's some supposed clues hidden in Beatles songs. There's lyrics in Taxman that says stuff about, advice for those who die, and if you hold up Sergeant Pepper in the mirror, like it says stuff, and then if you look at the cover of Abbey Road, one's dressed like a priest, and one's dressed like a mourner, and one's dressed like a gravedigger, and Paul McCartney's wearing shoes, and that's supposed to mean like there's all these things. Right, he doesn't need shoes because he's dead. Like there's all these things that supposedly are evidence, except the fact that why would you replace him with an exact clone? Like that just doesn't.
Well, would it even be an exact clone? Because if he had died in '66, then he wouldn't have done Maybe I'm Amazed.
Right.
There would have been no wings. The Yoko thing.
Yeah.
He would have been knighted by the Queen.
Right.
He wouldn't have fathered any of his children.
Right.
Right. That's the. So the clone would be more Paul McCartney than the original, right?
Yeah.
Well,
at that point.
To that note, I didn't get a chance to read it. I just glanced at it now because you brought up Paul McCartney. Right before we started recording, one of the websites that I was looking at conspiracies on, I popped open, and to this point, it says, the Beatles never existed. And it says, forget the old chestnut that Paul is dead. That's amateur hour stuff. So, fuck you, Paul.
Right.
How about this one? From the moment they began, the Beatles were a fake band staffed by a revolving cast of almost identical actors. And then it goes on to talk about, like, different sizes of eyebrows and this and that. I'm like, never mind grooming habits.
Right, yeah.
But whatever.
Look,
but yeah, it goes on and on. There's a whole thing where like they bring you to a site that you can look into.
There are no people that look like Ringo Starr. There are no other human beings that look like Ringo Starr. Like, there's him, and that's
Not
it.
on purpose.
Right. That's it. There's not a cast of people that look like Ringo Starr. So yeah, that's one. It's not. I just don't like. I get right. 66. The Beatles are probably close to the height of their fame. It would be tragic if Paul McCartney had died right at the height of the Beatles' fame.
Sure.
But you'd find somebody else, and you'd go on. You don't make Sgt. Pepper, and you don't do a bunch of other stuff,
Yeah.
and, right? But it's different. But
Yeah.
bands have changed singers and have been okay. Mm-hmm. You're not the Beatles anymore, right? I get it.
AC/DC, Van Halen.
You're not the Beatles, but yeah.
All right, what you got?
How about the government uses fluoride to control your mind? So back in the 40s, sometime in the 40s, they started putting fluoride in the filtered water that you get from city, municipality, whatever, right? And that was supposed to be a way to prevent tooth decay. But there's been this ongoing thing about how the fluoride is intended to make your mind docile and make you susceptible to messaging from the government or whatever, to keep the populace down.
Simmer down.
Yeah.
Simmer down, exactly. And those theories started maybe some 20 years later, like in the 60s, the theories about the fluoride thing. So this is a long time after, which probably goes back to what we were talking about in the Moon Theory episode earlier, that these things come about after nobody remembers what really happened.
Yeah.
Right? And then they can make up whatever they want. But yeah, so it's supposed to make you docile and easily susceptible to governing. And even after the whole, so originally this was some communist party conspiracy, and they had stuck it in the water in Russia, and that was how they were controlling the population. But then after the Red Scare was over or whatever, and then it just became the U.S. government is putting fluoride in your water because they want to control the population thing, right? That's, fuck it, we'll get rid of the communist thing. It's not scary anymore. But what that reminded me of is a second conspiracy theory that I'm hoping you heard, because I always heard it in the Army, but that they put like saltpeter in the food to keep your sexual proclivities down or whatever it was. That was like an ongoing thing they said all the time, right? It's in the armories, it's in the food.
Yeah, they said that all the time. I'm like,
so
when I actually considered it, I never really had a problem.
Yeah. Well, actually, truth be told, I wouldn't have a problem with that if it really worked in that fashion. But I have several questions about that, which is, one, does saltpeter even do that? I never bothered to look it up, but, I mean, saltpeter is like a fucking element in gunpowder, for Christ's sake. Does it really have that effect on you? Or is it just because it's called saltpeter?
That's probably. Someone came up with some shit. But now, the government thing leads me into my other one. Now, this is again, I got this from Shane, so yay, Shane. I'm going to have to tag that son of a bitch.
Shane Dawson.
Shane Dawson.
Dawson's great.
We are so sorry. So celebrities, and his was specifically Cardi B, but there were a handful of other celebrities in his examples, like quick shots of them, right? But it was specifically talking about her because she had, I guess, spoken out a little bit, whatever. But the theory is that a bunch of these celebrities are akin to Illuminati puppets, right? You know, they work for the Illuminati or whatever. There were random videos, and he popped a bunch of them out there from Cardi B talking about the Illuminati, and then other videos. Like, for hers, they were like, you know, she briefly mentions the Illuminati once or twice in a couple of videos, and then like kind of subtly, really quick. But then there's one video of her that he shows that I want to show you guys before you leave. I'll try to jump it on, like put it on the Facebook later. But it's on his YouTube channel, and it shows an interview of her like on the red carpet, and she's in the middle, like whatever, it was like right after her album popped or whatever, and she's all like, yeah, it was great, and she literally like right in the middle of yeah, and she shuts down, like her face shuts down, right? It looks literally like someone turns the lights off, right? And there's like about 3 seconds where the interviewer is still talking to her, and then she fires back up again. And he replays it a couple of times so you can see it. And when you see it, you're going to be like, what the fuck just happened? So then he, in his talk about the Illuminati controlling some of these celebs, he's got a few of them there. Like, there was the Winona Ryder thing, and I remember this, too. There was the award ceremony when Stranger Things won something, and they were all up there, and she was like... She was looking all around and freezing, and she basically went through like every fucking emotion. That was the joke. Winona Ryder at the awards went through every emotion that a person can. Yeah. And she was like, her face was just going all whack, whatever. And they had a whole bunch of these, like I think Wendy Williams, whoever the TV host is, who kind of like faints a couple times. That's just, I mean, you're overheated, you're fainting, whatever. But there's a whole bunch of them that they used for this, like. They're brainwashed by...
so they're literally controlled.
Right. They're like, it's mind control, and these are examples of these celebrities, like, glitching. And... but when you see the Cardi B one, you gotta be like, what the fuck, really? Because it's really weird. Especially taken into that context. You're just like... Because there was the rational side of me that was like... No, that was her, like, trying to wait for a response. Right. But... It was legit, like...
Her signal went down?
It was straight mid-thought, like, just... and there was nothing there. So it was kind of cool. So, yeah, and that was, like, the whole Illuminati control the celebrities and the media, which, me, personally, I do kind of drink from that specific Kool-Aid jar anyway. I think the Illuminati control a lot of shit. Maybe not the Illuminati, but there's a handful of people that control a whole bunch of shit, and we can call them Illuminati, for lack of a better term.
I mean, there are people that there's a conference in Germany, the Bilderberg conference, that a lot of the, I think it's in Davos, Switzerland, or something like that. That you know, heads of state and corporate CEOs and Henry Kissinger and like a bunch of people go to for this kind of weekend retreat, and there's a bunch of conspiracy theorists that sort of camp outside of it to try to get a glimpse of.
Just put that anywhere. It's cool.
Of everybody,
Eric's chucking his phone around.
Going in the door, and it's not hard to think about.
I was testing Paul's reflexes.
If you get
see if he can be one of us.
See, you know, that if there are a couple of CEOs and a couple of heads of state and a couple of really just sort of independently very wealthy people, you could alter the course of a stock market or something else. Like, that's not that hard to believe. It's harder to think that it's a sort of organized group with an agenda, and you know, like they have regular meetings and they're like, all right, we call this meeting of the Illuminati to order. Henry, read the minutes from the last meeting. All right, secretary, please note that you know, next week there's a barbecue, and that it's that sort of organized. But I think if a group of people like that wanted to influence in a certain direction, you know, whether it's, like I said, a stock market or something else, it's not hard to do.
So I mean, the idea that a group of influential people could manipulate the way markets behave or something like that, that's easy to grasp, right? The G20 summit is exactly that. It's a sanctioned one by governments, but to imagine that, billionaires or trillionaires, I guess we're getting close to at this point, could also be involved. I mean, they are already. I mean, don't kid yourself. So, yeah, of course they could influence that stuff. Yep. Now, is it a new world order? No.
No, it's the same old world order.
It's a bunch of guys with a lot of power, with their own ideas about how to do things.
It's old school families that are still running the same shit.
And the G20 summit that I mentioned, I mean, it just proves the point that even 20 world leaders cannot agree on a single thing they're going to do. Right. So forget about the idea that hundreds of people are fucking controlling.
No. This is a handful of very, very powerful people who, at the very least, run this country.
Well, I think they know they can exert influence on things, and they've all acknowledged they can do that. But the idea that they're collectively controlling something, get the fuck out of here. They're all working towards their own means, and it doesn't make any difference.
To a point, but then, you get to the point where how do you control the masses? Through the media. Media starts to trickle out. This is why you should be fighting with yourselves.
Well, so all you have to do is look at politics, right? The Koch brothers have an organization, Americans for Prosperity and others, that funnel a buttload of money into political campaigns for the right-leaning candidates, right? And the more conservative get more money. But and they have taken their personal fortunes and given all those donations and done all that stuff. There are now billionaires on the left who are like, well, okay, we can't let this arms race happen. So Tom Steyer and some others have started now to give to Democratic candidates. So you see billionaires starting to influence politics at the highest level through contributions, but they don't get along, right? And they don't agree. And so to Eric's point, the thought that you're going to get even 10 billionaires together and that they're going to agree on something, and not just kind of at a 30,000 foot level, but the means to then carry that out, I don't think it's going to happen.
So if you want some proof of this, modern day, recent, you can't deny it proof, look at the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. You guys heard about this? So it's a think tank.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's a think tank in DC, but it's funded half by George Soros and half by the Koch brothers. And the only thing they focus on is anti-interventionist policy. So those two people who would never get along, who would never vote for the same candidates, they have nothing in common, really, have found like one fucking issue that they can dump a few $1 million a piece into, which is stop fighting wars in the Middle East, right?
Sure.
And then they're going to push this one thing together because it's in both their interests, right? But again, to think that there's a big group of people who've all agreed on these things and they're going to fucking influence the masses, forget about it, man.
Because everything else, the Koch brothers and George Soros are completely opposites. And so, there might be one or two things that they can get together on, but there's not a group that agrees on.
This is what political campaigns and super PACs and things like that are. They're limited or single issue things that people can agree on to put money into, and the rich and powerful will do it, a handful of them. But next door you have a completely different one that a completely different set of people are dumping money into, and so that's all it is. Yeah. So certainly they can organize, certainly they can come together in small groups, but
they all have their own agenda.
Yeah, but a new world order, fucking forget about it.
I don't think there's a new world order.
I mean, just the whole concept of even a small group, even 20 people coming together to agree on how they're going to control the masses. It's just
you couldn't get 20 people together and agree on their pizza order, right? Like we're going to get one kind of pizza to this thing, and it's not going to happen. So, right, the idea that they control a one world agenda, I think is difficult to believe. But I don't find it difficult to believe that groups of very wealthy people and very influential people get together
certainly
at things like Bilderberg and
about a cause, right? About a particular issue that they can agree on.
Right.
But they're not a cohesive group. They're not the Bolsheviks or anything like that, right? They haven't come up with the overarching concept that they're going to push on the world.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying I agree with the Carlin theory of there's a group here that we are not a part of that control what's going on. And they just say, okay,
yeah. So
let's keep these assholes busy.
Yeah, I would hear that. So there are
That's my
are
point.
200 plus world leaders, 225. Whose number do you want to use? But
Whatever,
world leaders, and then there are probably on the order of 300-400 billionaires that have real political influence.
Right.
And among that group of 500 or 600 people, there are certainly subgroups that do very targeted stuff towards a lot of different ideas, but it isn't the collective group. And the collective group, if you were to look at them, are really fighting against each other.
Sure,
on so
I
many
see
fronts.
I see your point on that.
So
I'm
so
just
you're
saying
right, there's an Illuminati,
area-
but it would be wrong to think that there's an Illuminati that is a cohesive thought group.
Right,
You
yeah.
know, there is none of that.
Yeah.
There's a
There's-
Republican Illuminati and there's a Democratic Illuminati.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
Well,
I would go to that.
even beyond that, there's a sort of liberal, progressive. I shouldn't even use those terms together, but there's a progressive Illuminati. There's a liberal Illuminati of two different types, of classic and of modern day.
Sure.
There's a lot of these Illuminati, but they're smaller groups that are really fighting against each other. Among that, several hundred group of really influential people.
Yeah, there's what we see, and then there's their level. But
So we almost turned this to politics, and we should probably
Yeah.
let's back
probably
off on that
stop.
one.
All right.
Cardi B, you fucked this up again.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so here's mine, and I this is one of my favorites because it's sort of ridiculous, and then it's kind of funny, and then the guy took some crap for this. So there is a guy named David Icke, I think that's how you pronounce it, Icke, who has a theory that hidden among us are shape-shifting extraterrestrial reptilian aliens that are infiltrating humanity at all levels. Everything from the Queen of England to presidents to all kinds of leaders. They are actually shape-shifting reptilian aliens. And so he publishes this book called The Biggest Secret. And he says, look, these people are aliens, and they're reptiles, and they're shapeshifters. And then he gets a lot of hate mail, and people are saying, you're using reptile. What you really mean is they're Jewish, or they're African American, or they're something else. And he's like, no, I mean they're reptiles. And they're like, no, that's just code for you're anti-Semitic or you're anti-black. He's like, wait. I said they're reptiles. I didn't say they're Jewish. I said they're reptiles. And they're like, nope, that can't be what you mean. And he's like, nope, that's what I mean. And they're like, nope.
I 100% buy it. I mean, you've seen V, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
They're an alien race.
Yeah. And so he
Diana
believes
was
they're
hot, by the way. So.
he believes they were shape-shifting, that they are shape-shifting reptiles, and people are mad that he thinks they mean they're Jewish people.
So to me, that's just an extension of the Illuminati thing we were talking about, but it's a way to make them seem like they would be a cohesive group that was actually trying, right? Because we don't understand them; they're fucking reptilians,
Right?
up
They must be
there.
reptiles.
They fucking came from an egg or
That's
something.
it. They've got that hive mind. Mm-hmm. They're bees.
Yeah, and pupils that are elongated, right?
Right.
Their
Like,
eyelids closed sideways or something.
Like Men in Black. He was breathing. He wasn't blinking.
All right, so
he was out of breath.
I have one more on that vein, I guess. This one is specifically about the Denver airport, and I'd never heard this before.
I just
you
saw
have
it.
this one? Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
So apparently, the Denver airport was built as a secret bunker for the New World Order. Okay, and so
Here we go again.
Yeah, this basically says the Denver airport is admittedly really strange with underground tunnels and all these other things, and this didn't just start out of nowhere. The actual crew that was building it was questioning like why they were doing some arbitrary seeming things, and I'm sure it all had a purpose, and I don't have an explanation for the purpose, so don't get me wrong here. But it was built back in, well, it was finished in '95. It ran $2 billion over budget, which people said, "Oh shit, that's a huge number for an airport."
Yeah.
Like, what were you really doing there? Right?
What are you flying in here?
right.
Right, and then there's all these weird artistic references at the Denver airport. Now, I've flown through there many times on the way to California and out to Hawaii, and I've seen some of these things, I guess, but I have missed some of them too. But I did look up pictures; they really exist. So there's a blue statue of a Mustang outside the front of the airport that has red eyes, and people refer to it as Blucifer. And people think that it's meant to represent the fourth horseman of the apocalypse. Apopka. Let's call it the fourth horseman of
Apocalypse.
Keep it low.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
The fourth horseman of Apopka.
So the fourth horseman of the apocalypse. And supposedly this statue actually fell on its sculptor and killed him. I don't know if that's really true. I was not able to verify, but
No, I was scrolling by this article as we were talking, and it was it says there's cryptic signs all over the airport.
and so there are murals that are around the airport, which I've seen a handful of, and this says they have disturbing imagery. I'm not sure if I agree, but maybe I didn't look hard enough, including like Nazi symbolism and skull faces and like all this weird shit. Like I'm gonna have to look next time I'm there, but people think it's like symbolic of like a coming New World Order kind of.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's a Fourth Reich or something.
Yeah, well,
like
that's the headline of that one. It was Denver Airport is the home of all evil.
Yeah. Okay.
Which explains a lot because my ex-wife is from Colorado.
Okay, and then so adding to the weirdness, and this one I could confirm, the airport has a dedication stone, which actually has a Freemason symbol on it, and an inscription that says New World Airport Society. Okay, so that's legit. That actually exists, but I'm not sure what the fuck it's supposed to mean. I couldn't find any explanation for it, so I'm sure it just adds to the ridiculousness of it. But the last thing, which was all part of this whole thing, was that there's like a sort of underground network of tunnels and bunkers and shit below the airport, which the construction workers who were building it brought up, and they thought it was really weird, right? And they didn't know why they were building them, and maybe it has a purpose. I don't know. I couldn't find anything that verified they were actually there, or I don't know. But it's an interesting idea anyway. And why would they pick Denver of all places? But I guess if you want to run the world, you should run it from Denver.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Right in the middle.
Yeah. The middle of all points are the middle, are they not?
Oh, yeah, right. At
just
some
depends
point
on your perspective.
It's all the middle of somewhere. Yeah, that's an excellent point.
So the idea is that the underground tunnels are meant to be like an emergency habitat for the elites that run the world in case there's some sort of disaster or something. And they would all fly to Denver, which interestingly, Denver is a hub for many airlines.
Yeah, see, there you go.
It sort of feeds into the idea.
Does, yeah.
But, I'm not sure anybody would fly if there was a disaster, a natural disaster that affected the whole country. But.
All right, so one of the last ones I got is we all remember the Tide Pod challenge, because we all remember how many different challenges, and this is something that we're going to have to get into in another conspiracy episode. How many of these challenges we think are real or fake or whatever, going back to what we were discussing earlier, right? But the one I read was the Tide Pod challenge was faked to improve sales, i.e. more people talk about Tide Pods, more are buying them. But then it branched off to some poisonous or whatever, harmful chemicals that are harmful to humans, are being sold alongside food. And it's like and there's a bunch of different pictures, so I'll have to, I tried to screenshot a bunch of stuff on my phone as I was watching this video, and I'll post them on our Facebook just to show, like, I'll try to type something up maybe over the weekend or whatever. But it's like this bunch of stuff, like this stuff called Fabuloso. It looks just like juice, but it's like a cleaner.
Right. And
then there were examples of a store had this product right next to, like, Juicy Juice. So like that kind of shit, right? And then they went into a bunch of different examples, like the floor cleaner that looked just like lemonade. Right. There was windshield fluid that looked just like a 2-liter bottle of like blue raspberry soda. And legit, like I'll show you, like, dude, when I show you these pictures, you're gonna shit. There was another one like the Great Value, which is what, Target or Walmart? Walmart is Great Value, yeah. Right? Their butter flavor spray and their furniture polish sitting next to each other are almost identical. Like the shade of yellow is the only thing. If you don't read them, you're buttering your pancakes with fucking furniture polish, dude. And then there was some hair bleach that looked like a cereal box. It literally looked like a dude, like a little cloud dude eating cereal in a box. And it was hair bleach. Wow. And yeah, so this kind of shit. And the theory is that this is the government trying to like do population control and thin the herd. Like if you're too dumb to tell the difference, and you need to eat this shit and die.
You got to go.
And there's a little morbid part of me that kind of agrees with it because, damn, free up a little bit of traffic on 408 for me.
It's like Thanos in Endgame or Infinity War.
Yeah,
he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Yeah. You got any more?
Yeah. There's a couple theories about the CIA and that they've created AIDS and or crack to wipe out certain populations.
Yeah, I had the AIDS one on
I read about that one.
Yeah, and seemingly these viruses / crack kind of come out of nowhere, run rampant through certain communities, and really sort of decimate certain populations. And so the theory being that's weird enough to happen once, to have it twice, in a way that seems man-made.
Well, to the point where in one of my favorite movies, The Godfather, when the asshole comes to the Corleone family with his offer of selling drugs. Mm-hmm. They got the families together and they're talking about it, right? Yeah. And I'm not going to quote the movie because it's a bad word.
It's the Turk, right?
But yeah, the Turk comes in and I'm not going to quote the movie. But basically one of them says, pretty much put it in the ghettos. Yeah. Let them have it, but that's to that point. Yep. So,
this one talks about that the rumors have persisted. The deadly virus, in this case HIV, was created by the CIA to wipe out homosexuals in the African American community. Yeah, and the same with crack. This is
the AIDS one.
Yeah,
yeah. So I had this on my list.
And crack was to wipe out the African American community as well.
I had the AIDS one on my list because that got some support from outside of the United States from like some relevant parties. So
which one?
South African president.
The AIDS.
Yeah, it was the guy fucking the monkey. Remember?
No, well, so Thabo Mbeki, who was the South African president back in this was the 80s, I think, the early 80s. He actually touted the theory that the U.S. government had developed AIDS and then blamed it on African monkeys to sort of push the blame off, but it was actually intended to kill African Americans.
Well, mine was a little callback to the thing that we shot, the shit you thought you knew, but I don't think we released it yet, so never mind. It's a callback to a future episode.
And then Wangari Maathai, I think, probably going to pronounce it terribly.
Kenyan ecologist,
So she was a Kenyan ecologist that won a Nobel Peace Prize, and after she won, she had a big public global forum, and she actually touted the same theory that the U.S. government had invented AIDS to kill off African people. Yeah. I'm serious. This really fucking happened, which is why it was on my list, because I thought, some conspiracy theories are just dumbass people on the internet. But then when you get, a South African president and a fucking Nobel Peace Prize winner talking about shit like this, you're like, oh,
and then
Jesus
let's toss
Christ.
the asshole of the room in the group, right? Tie that proof into the backstory of, it came from some dude visiting Africa and fucking a monkey.
Well, no, so
that's American right there.
The end of this paragraph, though the co-discoverers of HIV, Dr. Robert Gallo of the National Cancer Institute, and Dr. Luc Montagnier of the Pasteur Institute in Paris, don't agree on its origins. Most members of the scientific community believe the virus jumped from monkeys to humans sometime during the 30s. So, and when they say jumped, what they mean is people banging monkeys.
Yeah. Well, so we had that conversation.
Yeah. So there's a middle part to this too, that the U.S. government intentionally injected people with the HIV virus when they were treating for hepatitis B, in the late 70s, and that it was an intentional vaccination kind of broad scope. Yeah. Put it in a shot with other shit.
Well, we talked about this at the beginning of the moon landing conspiracy theory episode that we just recorded. I don't know if you've listened to it yet, but our government has done some messed up stuff, right? To that point about they injected people unknowingly with HIV in the treatment of hepatitis B. They injected black men with syphilis.
So that probably happened unintentionally, though, right?
Sure. Well,
I don't know. I mean, before you knew about, so if if you believe the sort of larger scientific community that HIV was introduced probably in the 30s to the human population, but nobody knew about it until really the 80s, or nobody really paid attention. Hepatitis B and intravenous drug use and all these things that sort of resulted in all these infections happened long before that, and people didn't really know about HIV, and they may have inadvertently spread it when they were trying to treat other things with blood transfusions. And so, I mean, this even happens today, though, right? So you maybe not today, but 10 years ago, you could have got Hep C from a blood transfusion, and on accident. Right, and nobody was trying to spread that. Clearly, I don't think anybody has invented that conspiracy theory. Although, based on what we've talked about tonight, in 20 years they will.
They'll use this podcast as proof.
Yeah. Hey, we'll be famous in 20 years, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think that's an intentional thing. It was something that happened because of ignorance, basically, on multiple levels.
Sure. Yeah. I agree. But hey, like any good conspiracy theory, this is like a bunch of people going, you know what? I think. That's where it starts.
Right.
So since we're at like an hour and a half, I have 2 more on here, and I'm going to leave because we already decided that a handful of these we're going to save for another episode. I think next week we'll jump into another conspiracy episode just to make Eric happy. And I want to do 9/11 because I wrote a bunch of shit down, and I have a whole bunch more I got to write down. So maybe next week we'll jump into 9/11 just to have a good time with it. Sorry, that was...
You can't have a good time with 9/11.
Poor choice of words, but to break it apart. But the last one, I'll leave you guys so you can have it on a happy note. All right. So when you go shopping, here's a conspiracy theory that there are skinny mirrors in fitting rooms, right, that shave off 5 to 10 pounds, and these stores have bought them. And so when you go in, you'll buy something. You look in. Oh, I look good in this, and then you get home and it's shit. So, for anyone who's listening, if you ever bought something at a store because you thought it looked good on you, and then you get home and it looks like garbage, the theory is that these stores are buying these skinny-fying mirrors, these skinny mirrors that shave 5 to 10 pounds off of you. The proof of it is it was actually on Shark Tank.
Really?
It's a website. You can go look this up, and they've sold them, but they don't show who. And then, again, same guy, Shane Dawson, he was like, I got to check this out. He went to Target, and he took pictures of himself in the mirror, and then went home and took pictures. And even on the YouTube channel, briefly, it looks like 2 different people.
Oh, wow.
Like, you can see a slight difference in there. So, so they're trying to suck you in there, people. So if you want to have fun after this podcast, go shopping, go check out some clothes, and see if there's a skinny mirror in your store. On that note...
No, I'm going to Captain Tangent one more time.
Motherfucker.
No, really quick. I read this interesting article yesterday about Shane Dawson specifically. Well, it mentioned him. It wasn't about him.
We have to tag this poor asshole in this podcast.
Yeah, but so the concept was that people that have propagated conspiracy theories through YouTube channels and websites and stuff, what seems to be really effective is if you go into it pretending, even if it's not true, like you don't believe this thing and you're completely skeptical of it, and then by the end of the video or the writing or whatever, you're like, oh my god, my mind was blown, it was right, and that people will buy that like 100-fold over somebody that goes in believing it and just tells the reasons that they're right.
Sure.
If somebody goes in skeptical and then changes their mind, even if it's fucking
So
totally
you're saying the fact that he went there and checked it out.
So I watched a few videos from Dawson, which you did too, and he does that in every fucking video. He starts with the, I don't know about this.
So you think he's selling it?
I think he's really like pushing on a theory that he figured out works, which is that if you go in pretending like you don't believe it, even if you do, and then at the end you say, I believe this, even if you don't, it sells better and it works better. So
all right, nice.
I'll leave that.
I totally don't believe in this podcast. All right, cool. So, damn it. All right, Shane, we're going to have to tag you in this fucking thing now that we've mentioned you 17 times. That was it. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let us know your favorite conspiracy theories. We're going to obviously jump back into them because it's something that we're passionate about. Hit us up on whatifgeeks@gmail.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that shit. And let us know what you want to talk about, whether or not it's a conspiracy or not. But, yes, specifically to this episode, let us know what you think, and then what other ones we've missed that you want to talk about later. All right, so we've been What If Geeks, and we will catch you later. Good night, Tony.
Good night, Mom.
Good night, Ann.